What's up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of New York. This is season 15, episode 16. So let's get into it. So y'all know sometimes before we get into it, we get a little spicy, just a little bit. So I want to talk about Bryn's statement. So last Friday, I think it was either on Friday or last Thursday, Bryn posted a statement basically addressing the backlash that she has been receiving from the public as it pertains to her situation or her feud with Uba. So let me read the statement for you guys and then I'll give you my thoughts. So it starts off like this. I sat in shock this week as off-camera interactions in the Hamptons were conveyed without context. To see my interactions twisted and my words misrepresented flat out scares me. I am deeply sorry if I overstepped that night in the Hamptons. I am beyond sorry, as this was never my intentions. The episode was made to appear as though I brought up this stereotype on my own and out of nowhere, which is not the case. The truth is, angry black woman was brought up by Uba last year in Anguilla. In a highly charged fourth wall moment in Anguilla after the incident with Aaron's sunglasses, Uba spoke directly into the camera. Don't you dare edit me to look like an angry black woman. After Anguilla, Uba and I frequently discussed this harmful stereotype at length. As a biracial woman, I will never know what it's like to fully walk in Uba's shoes. I have experienced racism from childhood to corporate America, and it broke my heart to see my friend devastated by the backlash she received online. I always offer love and support, and when she asked me for advice, I gave it. For the record, it was always mutual. Uba was an incredible friend to me, and my bad, you guys, tripping over my words. She said Uba was an incredible friend to me and always supported me through difficult experiences. During that off-camera night in the Hamptons, we both spoke candidly about our fears and triggers, as we always had. We hugged, said we loved each other, and promised to do everything in our power to help one another. I told Uba that everything she wanted for herself, I wanted that for her too, and she wished the same for me. I'm not sure what shifted after that touching moment, but I deeply regret and I am sorry if I overstepped. Uba needed a friend to listen to the thoughts and fears which she expressed that night. She didn't need someone to repeat them back to her. I hope that the powerful fourth wall moment that happened in Anguilla will, well before the Hamptons, will be shown at this year's reunion so that this long-standing nearly 2-year issue can finally be addressed openly. A constructive conversation must be needed and to clear the air and provide context and closure to everyone involved. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really a fan of this statement. I'm not saying that Bryn doesn't have a right to defend herself, because I think she ultimately does. I think everyone has a right to defend themselves, even if they're wrong, because I'm gonna defend myself. But all throughout this statement is just blaming it on Uba. The whole there was a highly charged fourth wall moment in Anguilla after the incident with Aaron's sunglasses. Uba spoke directly to the camera. Don't you dare edit me to look like an angry black woman. So you're blaming this pretty much on Uba. Then we get down to the last statement. I hope that powerful fourth wall moment that happened in Anguilla will be well before the Hamptons, will be shown at this year's reunion, because you feel like that's going to vindicate you. And I don't think Bryn understands that your behavior after that situation is why people feel the way they feel about you now. Like the mocking of her voice. You did that the night before this whole situation happened. Now you're saying, like, you mocked her again when you were talking to Jessel and Aaron. And like, you say things about Sai. It's like, it's not just that one thing and why people feel this way about you. And it also feels like you're not trying to take ownership. So I feel like this rubs people the wrong way as well. And I think the way you posted this statement also suggests how you truly feel, because I follow a lot of girls who went to school for communications or PR, and they expressed how if somebody posts a statement in their stories, that says something as well, because that goes away in 24 hours. And I went on Bryn's page to see if she made a statement, like she posted the same statement to her Instagram, and it's not there. So you don't really want to have a constructive conversation, because if you wanted to have a constructive conversation, you would have posted this on your Instagram and left the comments open. And I'm not saying leave it open for bashing or hateful things, because you can always filter that out if you have the ability to. But I feel like you just contradicted yourself. And if you probably just shouldn't have gave a statement at all and just waited till the reunion if this is truly how you felt. All right, y'all. So the episode opens up and we see Aaron sitting on the couch at their apartment packing these bags. They look like goodie bags. We find out that Aaron and Abe are a part of this, like they own like 50% in this new liquor company where they sell mezcal. So I thought tequila was the only thing that could come from the blue agave plant, or agave. Is it agave? I think it's agave plant in Mexico. But I guess another drink is mezcal. And so she said they were in Mexico, chilling with friends and the locals, and somebody came up to them that was a local and was like, the poor man's drink is tequila, but a more refined palate likes mezcal. So they decided to create a company. They went 50-50 in with one of her business partners, who we later find out from Bryn is the guy that she was talking about when they were in the Hamptons, that she like slept with or has known and been with since high school or something like that. But that's who they're business partners with. So she's happy that Abe stood up for her, or not really stood up for her, but went and took it upon himself to go speak to Jenna. And she appreciated, she felt like he didn't have to, but she's happy he did. And they seem to be in a better place. We then see Jessel and her mom. She's in town from London. And her mom is like, makes Jessel always feel comfortable and safe, because she's like Mary Poppins. Jessel's words, not mine. And they go to get their nails done. So while they're sitting down, Jessel tells her mom about how she wants to start IVF again and how she really wants to have this baby girl. And she's actually extremely grateful that last season she told her mom about the IVF process, and she doesn't regret keeping it from her, but she's happy that she told her now, because now she has somebody that's willing to fly with her to Beverly Hills and go back and forth and start the process of IVF. Now, Jessel knows that it's going to be hard to convince Pavid to have this child, and her mom is just like, well, have you spoke to him? Well, Pavid keeps saying, we'll see, and they do a montage of him saying, we'll see. And she's just like, I really thinking he and I should go to counseling. Her mom looks at her like, girl, what? We Indian, we don't do that. And Jessel in her confessional is like, it's crazy how Indians won't go to therapy or counseling, but they'll go see an astrologer. And I mean, I'm somebody that I'm not like heavily into astrology, because I still got I'm still mad right now with the spooky and astrological girls, because I don't know what y'all was seeing for this election, because y'all lied to everybody, okay? But I do think that astrology is something that it's here to help people with their walk on this earth, just like religion is, just like counseling. So if you believe in all three, do all three, okay? You believe in one, do one. Either way, do what makes you happy. So she really feels like her and Pavid should go to counseling, because they are really lacking in the communications department, and she not lying. We then see this sit down with Raquel, Sai, and Uba, and they basically are just hanging out, catching up with each other. We see that Sai brings Uba this pigeon watching book. Honestly, the whole pigeon thing just doesn't hit for me, because I feel like Uba shows pigeon behavior as well, and so her feeling like that's a dig to other people, I'm like, girl, you exhibit the same behavior. Like, you talk about everybody. I think the only difference you probably might not do is maybe I don't know. I feel like you sit around and gossip. We seen you do it. So, girl, you're talking about yourself too. But she thinks it's a kiki. Sai brings up how it was announced that talks about this article she saw from US Weekly where it says, RHONY, Jenna Lyons is definitely ready to marry her. Mary Cass Bird, there's a giant ring on her finger. So, we found out that Jenna is actually engaged to Cass. I guess she told them in the Hamptons that it was an engagement ring, but the way that Jenna was like, when they were sitting at the kitchen table asking her like, girl, is that an engagement ring? She was like, well, it's kind of like it is an engagement ring, so it's not a so they were like, so it's not a promise ring. She's like, no. And she was like, well, we have kids. And I'm like, girl, your kids aren't stupid. Your son's 17. He's not a dummy. He about to go to college. Like, and I think, I don't know how old Cass's kids are, but even if her kids are like maybe like 8 or 9, they're not dummy. They're not stupid either. This whole concept that kids don't truly know what's going on. They might not know the depth or the gravity of a situation, but they're not imbeciles. They know when something is up. They get the same uncomfortable feelings and like knowing when people trying to lie to them like the rest of us do. So I think they know that you two are in a very serious and probably committed relationship. That annoys me. Like, so then they start asking Raquel about her engagement. And basically Raquel tells us that the art community is very small. Like, it's not as big as people think it is, especially when you get to the area in which she's in, where people make profit off of it, and they profit very well from it. And she talks about when her and her girlfriend, or her last fiance, broke up, they kept it under wraps. Like, they had broken up maybe like months before everyone found out about it. And the main reason for it is because her girlfriend was an artist, but Raquel was still like a part of, like, she was her muse, but she also helped with a lot of the artistic decisions. And they knew that their what's the word? One of their selling points, or their main selling point, was that they were a couple. So I find it kind of contradictory for Raquel to be like, it was nobody's business, but you made it people's business when you made that your selling point. I oftentimes get irritated with celebrities or like influencer pages that's like our couple pages or our couple YouTube channels, when they're like, we don't owe anybody anything. And it's like, you don't technically, but then you do when you know that is the draw to your channel or to your page, and you know that's how you make your money, is people seeing your union and seeing you guys have the ups and downs and the pitfalls and everything. So saying that you owe nobody anything is kind of, to me, like cowardice in a way. It's just that like you aren't ready for the backlash, or you don't want to acknowledge that this relationship is over. But if you don't want people to be in your business or know what's going on in your relationship, don't lead with that, you know? So Raquel said that they had broken up for a while, and then when her and Mel started to like step out as a couple, there was like blog pages pretty much making it seem like Mel like swooped in and was like a home wrecker, that she was like a gold digger. And like Raquel said, that lady got a PhD. She don't want nothing really from me like that. But Raquel also talked about how people started to pick sides, and it was more so like whoever they thought that they could profit from, that's the side that they took. And honestly, I don't really fault people for that either. Like, girl, what did you think was gonna happen? Like, you thought people was gonna be neutral? Like, people are never neutral in breakups unless they truly have a relationship with both parties prior to the relationship. Like, everybody, like, when people start breaking up, everybody start picking sides. Like, it never fails. It always happens. But the conversation continues, and Raquel basically tells Uba and Sai that she plans on announcing her engagement. And she says she's pretty much tired of like worrying about what people have to say about her and Mel. She wants to be happy. She wants to live in her truth. And I think she has every right to do that. So it is what it is. We move on to that, and we see Bryn. Bryn is in her apartment. She decides to call her brother. She basically tells her brother how, you know, she got into it with Sai, and she doesn't even really know what truly the issue is between her and Sai. She got into it with Uba, and she was just like, Uba was calling me a snake and, cussing me out. And she was just gets emotional and is like, I've never had people like really like hate me or really dislike me in this way. Like, it's happened like when we were younger, but not like this. And the brother basically was like, well, maybe you can be the bigger person and come to some common ground so that you can have a community to rely on. And the way I feel about this, because Bryn talks about how her brother is always saying like she should be the bigger person, makes me feel like, girl, your brother knows that you be the one that be starting stuff or stirring the pot, or that you're very mischievous. Like, I have a sibling. Anytime I call my sister, And I tell her about a situation, or vice versa. She tells me about a situation. We'll talk about it. We'll debrief. We'll assess it. And if I know my sister is right, but I'm like, girl, you probably should be a bigger person in the situation, I'll tell her that. But I'm not always telling my sister that. And she not always telling me that either. We will both be like, girl, if you got to be nasty and petty, be nasty and petty. Like, we'll validate each other's experiences or our feelings, especially when we know that if she knows I'm right and I know she right, I'm going to tell her, girl, do what you got to do. Just like she'll tell me that. So the fact of the matter that you say your brother, since y'all were in elementary school, is always telling you to be the bigger person, either means one, he is a pacifist or he doesn't like confrontation, or two, your brother knows that you be the one that starts shit with people. And he also knows you can't fight. So he's telling you, girl, tuck your tail between your legs and apologize so you don't get popped in the mouth. So then we get this scene of Jessel and Pavitt finally going to dinner together. They go to this Chinese restaurant. When I tell you they was ordering food on top of food on top of food, I think what I would have wanted most would have been the honey hot chicken and the crispy pork and chives. Because crispy pork is always good. But they sit down and she wants to talk about the whole IVF again. And Pavitt is like, what is there to talk about? Like, I already told you, I said no. And like, it is what it is. Like, we made a decision. And she's like, no, we didn't make a decision. We find out that Jessel actually met up with her IVF coach, Tasha. And, she got emotional while talking to the coach, being like, I want to have another baby. But he is like, he not really with it, but it's like, I really want this girl. And I think it's a lot harder when it's embryos than it would be like your eggs, because it's like embryos, you already fertilized it with, your husband's sperm and everything, and you're now about to implant it. Whereas I feel like if it was just your eggs, you have more of a say, but like, it's an embryo, which means 50% of that embryo is Pavitt's, the other 50% is Jessel. And Pavitt does have the right to like express like, girl, we already can't handle the 2 kids we got. We don't need another one. But I just don't like the way that he's going about it, because you can clearly tell that this is something that Jessel wants, and it's like, you should treat it with more care, So she then tells Pavitt that, like, you know what, you stressing me out. Like, I'm trying to be here with you. I'm trying to talk this out with you, but you just not, like, you not helping. And he was like not even paying attention to her. He was like taking pictures for his food blog, eating, and it's like, I really think that their relationship had to be an arrangement. It had to be. After watching The Indian Matchmaker on Netflix, I'm just like, this got to be what this is, because there's no chemistry between them. She seems like she doesn't really like Pavitt like that. He seems like he takes her for granted, because I'm gonna be honest, Pavitt do look like Dory, and Jessel is pretty. Like, Jessel, if Jessel announced that she was getting a divorce from Pavitt, I know within minutes her DMs would be flooded with men talking about, like, I want you, girl. I'll take you and them 2 kids, and we can live our best life. Now, I don't know if they would be an Indian man, because I don't know how they view divorce in that community. But I can definitely tell you, it's going to be some white men, some black men. Heck, you might get a few Latinos. It's going to be some men gonna want Jessel. And there'll be some women that want Pavitt. Maybe somebody that's more at his speed, because it just feels like he doesn't listen, but then again, Jessel doesn't listen to him either, because then he brings up how, you don't be listening to me. Like, how many times have I told, because that's when Jessel tells him, like, hey, I want to go to couples therapy. We find out that Jenna and Cass go to couples therapy. So she's like, I want to go to couples therapy. And he's like, how much is that? She's like, maybe $300 or $400. And he was like, I could get somebody. No. And she was like, no, I'll find somebody. And then Jessel is just kind of like, we need to work on our communication, because I feel like you don't be understanding what I be trying to tell you. And he was like, well, you also are dismissive towards me. And that's when Pavitt brings up, like, how many times have we had conversations and I talk to you about something over and over, and then you ask me a question and I'm like, girl, didn't we just talk about that? And Jessel even admits, like, sometimes I just tune you out. So it's just like, there's no chemistry. Y'all don't like to listen to each other. What's the point of being together? Like, for real, what's the point? But Pavitt ends up saying that he'll go, but he'll be the one to find the person. And I was like, girl, y'all never going to counseling. We then get this scene of Raquel and Mal going to this art gallery. I thought the piece that they showed where it was like, it looked like Senegalese twist going into like cornflower. I thought that was a cool concept. I thought the colors of the braids was really pretty. We actually see Mal and Raquel sit down in like the cafeteria area and just discuss. They talk about how she had a good time at Jessel's birthday party. Mal talks about how Abe was already trying to figure out how to help them cure, event plan their engagement party. And she was just like, yeah, it was nice being around the girls. She then brings up how like she's ready to announce their engagement. And she again talks about how her and her partner breaking up was like a big deal and how people were so negative and mean towards Mal. And Mal expresses how, yeah, it was difficult, but we had very serious conversations that help us create a stronger bond. So she appreciates that, like, the situation. She doesn't like what happened, but I think she appreciates that it brought them closer together. Mal talks about like how she told her mom about their engagement, which is a no. The producers end up asking Raquel like, hey, like, was your mom supportive when you were engaged and married to a man? She was like, very much so. She said when she found out that I was engaged to my first fiance, she ended up saying like, women are very jealous. And I said, men are no different. And Raquel just talks about how, she really wishes her mom would be more open, but she's not. She said her mom, after she broke up with her husband and got with her ex-fiance before getting with Mal, that she has never come and visit her, that she went to Puerto Rico and never came back, and it's been 10 years. And she talked about how her mom used to babysit her kids, and now this is where they're at, and she just says it sucks. And she was just kind of like, she doesn't know what's going to happen if she does invite her mom to the wedding or to the engagement party and she doesn't show up. She would pretty much be crushed, and that will kind of be like the end of where their relationship is. So it's time for Erin's and her business partner's Mezcal party. I'm gonna be honest, it felt kind of for them to be having a Mezcal party. Most of the workers be of Hispanic descent, and it's on Taco Tuesday. I don't know. Maybe it's because of the election that I felt like that was icky. I don't know. Maybe if I wasn't feeling the way I'm feeling right now, I probably wouldn't have been like, I don't like this, but it is what it is. So everybody shows up. Uba gets there first with a head wrap on and a business jacket on, talking about like she had 3 meetings and she really didn't have time to run back to her place. It's a packed establishment. They have over 100 people in there, where it's not supposed to be that many in there, but it looks like a nice turnout. So we end up seeing Sai. I thought her dress was adorable. So we see Sai, Uba, and Erin sitting at a table. I don't understand why Erin kicked up mess at her own event, but Erin is just like Bryn. They like to start shit and then watch everything happen and then be shocked when people confront them. So Erin pretty much tells Uba and Sai that when they met up with Bryn, she was talking like trash about her and Sai because she was really upset with them. And Sai is like, what is she mad at me for? Like, we good, I thought we was all right. And Uba was like, oh, so she was talking trash, like, and y'all ain't say nothing? Like, you just now telling us this? Like, y'all are definitely pigeons. Y'all go around listening to people and then running back and forth bringing messages. So we then end up seeing Raquel and her wife, well, not her wife yet, but her fiance get to the party. Mind you, they had food, which Sai was happy about because, at the last event, they didn't have any food, but they didn't have any, like, plates. They was giving everybody like, finger foods, but then everyone was eating them on napkins. And I was like, y'all didn't get them like clear disposable plates? But I guess not. So they're eating and drinking. Like, Rebecca was there. I was so surprised when I saw Rebecca because they didn't even announce Rebecca being there. That's how Rebecca is not important to this cast, because they didn't even give her a cue card to say like, oh, Rebecca is here. Because next thing you know, we end up seeing, I think, Jenna gets there, then Bryn gets there, or maybe it was vice versa. I think Bryn got there first and then Jenna, but either way, those 2 ladies got there, and Bryn was avoiding the table because she wasn't ready to have a one-on-one with Sai or Uba. Like, she just didn't want any beef. She was heavy flirting with Aaron's dad, they're doing all the sexual innuendos. It was kind of like, okay, girl, we get it. That's your friend daddy. That's kind of gross, but okay. And, I agree with what Sai said. Brim was all upset about the sugar baby comments, but you in here like flirting with a man probably 3 times your age who has money. It does give sugar baby. It does give like, you like being taken care of. So you can't play into it and then be upset when people assume that about you. So she's not going past the table. We then end up seeing Jessel and what's his name, Pavic get there. Jessel sits down. Jessel is shady AF because Jessel gonna ask like, Aaron, did you put on deodorant? And she's like, what? Because they had like onion dip at the table. So Jessel automatically assumed Aaron smelled like the onion dip. We found out that Aaron only be using like natural deodorant. Stop doing that. You stank. You stank. Anytime y'all are wearing natural deodorant, I want you to know that people think you smell. It never covers the smell. Like, just be like the rest of us. Get aluminum poison and cancer with the rest of us. At least we don't smell like wet socks on a hot day. It's disgusting. It's stop it. You smell like feet. It's gross. So Aaron gets up because she was like, girl, not you talking trash about me and you just got here. So then Jessel asks Uba like, hey, did you talk to Bryn? Uba gets an attitude and she's like, stop asking me if I talked to her. I ain't got no issue with her. She got an issue with me. She need to come talk to me. And so Jessel's like, okay, girl, okay. So they call Bryn over, and I think Uba ends up asking Bryn, were you talking trash about us? And Bryn pretty much was like, yeah, I was. And so Uba was like, looking at Jessel, and you sat there and you ain't say nothing. And then I thought Jessel was gonna do the whole like I got mom brain, but she was like, yeah, I listened to it. But then Jessel and Aaron ended up being like, it wasn't that deep for y'all to be like this mad. Now I can say the whole mocking thing might not be that deep, but if I was Sai, I would take what Bryn said, talking about I'm miserable and all of this stuff and I'm a troll and all of that stuff. I would take that seriously. But yeah, they should have said something. They should have like been like, girl, you doing too much. They should have been like, well, what part do you feel like you played in this? Something other than just sitting there and laughing and giggling and kikiing. So they kind of were just like, it is what it is. They kind of stopped, like, because it got quiet at the table, because then I think Uba was like, okay, if it's not that serious, it's not that serious. So then she takes the pitcher that has the water in it that, you normally they sit at the table to pour water in everybody's glass. She starts to drink out of it. And so Jessel's like, Uba, there's a cup right there. Like, there's a glass right there. So then Uba ends up calling Jessel like a basic bitch. And it was like, the tone of it was like real, like aggressive. And I was like, Uba, chill out. I get you being upset, but like, you don't do yourself any favors either sometime. Like, there was no need for you to do all that. And it actually is disgusting that you're drinking out of a pitcher that is supposed to be for everybody at the table. We don't know what your mouth been on. And there was legit a glass in front of you. Uba reminds me of Ayan. Like, y'all get mad and bent out of shape out of things that are very like minute. And like sometimes it's warranted and sometimes it's not. Like it's over the top and it can be off-putting at times. So then Jessel's like, why'd you call me that? So then they start going back and forth. And I think Rebecca said being called a basic bitch is like being called a Karen. So then Jessel's like, I'm a Karen. But mind you, they were still kind of arguing at the table, but like they weren't paying attention to them argue. Like everybody else was talking around them in the booth. And then they came to some consensus where they were like gonna all move past it. They did some fake like kumbaya. Sai ended up being like, okay, so you talking about me, Bryn, but you want to be friends, so we're just gonna keep it very surface level. And she's like, I just want to have fun. And they put their hands in the middle like the Power Rangers or Captain Planet, whatever they call them. Is it the Planeteers or something? I don't know. And they're cool now. All of a sudden we end up seeing Aaron do she does her speech welcoming everybody. And that's when Bryn lets it be known that their business partner, Chris, is the guy that Bryn was talking about, that Aaron slept with when they were like doing the whole Never Have I Ever game in the Hamptons. And it just felt like it came out of nowhere. And I don't know if Bryn meant it to be messy, but I felt like it was very calculated. Like here she is at this wonderful moment trying to thank everybody for coming. She's getting emotional. And then you want to throw this in like, ooh, that's the man she slept with. And it's like, sometimes, girl, shut up. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. As always, remember to be bravely authentic and definitely take care of yourselves, y'all. Protect your mental health, and things of that nature. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.